Needles have increasingly become a part of everyday life. Proper disposal is both difficult and expensive. We have the solution. Simpler, safer, affordable, and fulfills the obligation to protect our environment. A single stick with something like this means tracking down the user, it means blood test for the person stuck, it means possibly medication for an extended period of time. Needle sticks are devastating. No more. Incinerate the needle. Needle goes in this port. It's over. Done. Needle gone. We all have loved ones who use needles. Keep their home safe. Medical offices are loaded with sharps. We are using ancient technology to protect our patients, our staff, ourselves. You know what needle sticks do. You know the cost and the devastation psychologically and physically, potentially, from a needle stick. Eliminate that completely. Stop using ancient technology. Sand MIDI. It will solve your problems. Find out more at needledestructiondevice.com.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Hey everybody. Hi Anthony. Hi Johnny Bones. Lisa, hey there. I'm Linda. We'll just give you guys a moment to pile into the stream. Florida numbers have dropped. I will review the model after a few minutes. We're going to have a guest in here just a second before we do that. I want to give you guys a minute to get here because I'm very anxious that you should all get to know my guest. He is one of the, hi guys, he is my hero in the whole homeless fight, and he has been doing it his whole life. In fact, his whole family has been doing it for generations, and so I thought it would be nice for you all to meet him on this stream, but I'm going to give everyone a minute to get on in here. Again, we have, I'll review the corona data in a few minutes. Today is a day to celebrate. You should be congratulating yourself for all the hard work you put in to flatten the curve, because today the evidence is that you have done a great job. So we'll go over the data in a minute. Even some of the more dire predictions about the death per day in the United States are not bearing out, which is great news. So now that, I see you're hunkering down. We'll talk about Ohio. We'll talk about all the various states in a few minutes. But first, I want to introduce Reverend Andy Bales. Reverend Bales is the director at the Union Rescue Mission. It is URM, just the letters URM.org. I strongly urge you to contribute anything you possibly can. This is an organization that has been at the front lines. We'll welcome anyone with any need off the street at any time and get them the help they need. Reverend Bales, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Drew. Honored.
How are things going today down there?
They're going well. We still have our teammate in a desperate situation. I'll be releasing more information about that shortly.
Let me fill them in on that. There is a gentleman that Reverend Bales helped get off the street and into meaningful employ, ended up becoming somebody who works for the Union Rescue Mission, was a driver of the vans there, moving around other homeless folk. And he got COVID, and he is in the ICU and been there for a few days, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a desperate situation, and like I said, I'll be releasing some information soon about that. But his sickness inspired us. We already were preparing all we could: wash stations, hand sanitizers throughout, masks. We got masks early, but his sickness caused us to reiterate everything. Right? Wash your hands every 30 minutes. Wear the mask. Stay 6 feet apart. We've really knuckled down to do all we can. No other people have tested positive. They've all been negative.
Good.
Which caused us to think maybe out on his van route, he picked it up somewhere out there, because there's no other reports on Skid Row. And as you said, we've been welcoming people who come with a variety of ailments. They've all proven to be common flu, 24 to 48 hour flu, fever with cough, fever with upset stomach. And we were told, you should quit letting new people in, but I said we answer to a higher calling. We're not going to leave somebody out on the streets to suffer.
Of course,
alone.
It's bizarre.
And
it's
so far,
a bizarre direction.
Right.
A couple questions. A, are you surprised that we have not seen a major outbreak on the streets? Number one, and number two, I know we opened in downtown Los Angeles a COVID hospital. Is there any chance that your employee will get transferred over to that, what's going to be a center of excellence, or any talk about that?
No, I believe he is in the best care possible at ICU at USC County Hospital. And it is possible that some of our other guests, I've been asking for our 60 most frail and elderly men and women on our first and second floor be moved where they might be more protected, and we might have more social distance on those floors. We have 369 precious ladies, and we have 323 gentlemen on our first and second floor, and it's very hard to find social distance in that environment. And so hoping that we get, and it is, I mean, we prayed for a miracle at the beginning, and although we've suffered this.
Reverend, I got to interrupt you. Susan, rephrase, take that down. It's URM, M like Michael, URM.org. I'm sorry, Reverend, we were posting your website and we got it wrong. So keep going. You were saying about the precious cargo?
Yes, we want to reduce the number of people in our place throughout this, and especially our frail. As you know, the floor that our teammate lived on, we sent 27 men over the age of 60 to motels and hotels through the county where they'd have better privacy and better nursing care, and that's working out well. We'd like to do the same on our first and second floor throughout this, but we're just doing everything we can. The Department of Public Health praised us for transforming into a mini hospital and said they're fortunate to be working with a group like us on this first case. The first case on Skid Row was definitely our teammate, and it's a miracle. We prayed for a miracle early, and even though we suffered such overwhelming grief of having our teammate fall ill, it's really a miracle that nobody else has received this.
Truly, I think the miracle is just beginning, because I think you're going to see some astonishing numbers in the next few days. I pray with you, but I think it's heading in that direction. So let's hope it continues.
Wow, wonderful.
So you alerted me to something that I found very interesting, and I want to kind of dig a little deeper into this. We in California, our governor has begun to be very appropriate in his rhetoric and the way he's approaching homelessness right now, and has freed up for the LA County Board of Supervisors motels and hotels that we can start to put people in, and this is happening now very actively. So you had told me two things that I found very fascinating, Reverend, which was, of course, talking to Reverend Andy Bales, go to URM, like Ultimate Restream Michael, urm.org, and give whatever you can there. They're an amazing organization. I want to talk about what you alerted me to, but before I do, there's another thought I had. Are we getting over this nonsense of being unable to work with a faith-based organization? Are we getting all hands on deck finally? Is that going away?
We will see. We have received supplies finally from LAHSA, Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. We've been talking every day with LA County Department of Health and LA County Health Services. Perhaps we're getting moving away from that, but it remains to be seen. But we all are, all hands on deck as far as taking on this pandemic, like a roaring lion attacking us, evil coming in. I think it's like you said the other night, it's the mysteriousness and the ferocity of this virus that has us on edge. Yeah.
And again, I want to congratulate all of us for doing an amazing job in pushing this thing down, because it is working. And then the guys like Reverend Bales are the ones actually picking up the pieces of what's breaking through. So the other issue that you alerted me to, and this is what I'm going to get at, is that the gangs are staying off the street because they don't want to get coronavirus. And as a result, it seems to me, and you tell me if this is accurate, that the addicts are now more willing to go indoors and take the resources that are available. Is that what we're seeing?
Absolutely. People have been willing to come in really early on. I got a note and said that a man who's actively using meth and cocaine is in a tent and not feeling well. Will you accept him? And I said, we will accept him if he acts like he's going into a hospital and begins to withdraw from the drugs that he's using. We will take him. And he immediately came in without hesitation. I think when people are desperate, they will come in. And when there's a place to come in, they will come in. I think you know that the mayor's rec centers turned into shelters are like 95% capacity immediately.
And again, when addicts are in the grips of their using, they want to keep using. But when the drug supply got cut off because the gangs aren't out there anymore, they become willing. This is the thing. This is the piece, one of the pieces that's been missing in addressing the homeless. So, that's unfortunate we had to go to this experience in order to break that logjam, but here we are. So as far as those rec centers go, my understanding is they're only requiring the folks to stay in them overnight, and then they go back out on the streets during the day. Can you think of a better or more sophisticated way to do that? Because I'm fearful that they might go out and then get the COVID out on the street.
Right. They should be 24/7, just as we are trying to practice at our mission 24/7, come up with activities that will keep people inside.
Good.
That's the only way we'll really beat this.
Good, because I feel that way too, and I'm worried about the leniency there, the kind of do as you please during the day stuff is going to hurt people, lots of people.
Absolutely, yes, and as I said to you, once we do this, let's keep it like this. Once we get people off the streets, let's not let them go back on the streets.
Yep.
Let's figure out a way to quickly innovate and create not only shelters, but innovative housing, inexpensive housing, and make this stick. This is our chance to change our city to live up to the City of Angels.
I totally agree with you, and I hope the politicians maintain their sane rhetoric, their sane perspective, and clear perspective, because they've been great. At least, particularly Governor Newsom. I've been on Team Newsom since the beginning of this pandemic, and I was thinking to myself, I thought, I was thinking about how other societies dealt with this, how China dealt with it, and how South Korea. These are more authoritarian. Obviously, China is authoritarian organizations, but we in America, when we are called upon, we stand up. If somebody says, "Hey, on behalf of everyone else, stay home," we step up. We don't on behalf of our fellow citizens, we stay in. And I think more needs to be made of that, about how much everyone listened to their leaders. Their leaders were good and sound in their judgments, and we did what we're supposed to do. No authoritarian government had to come in and smash us into action. We do it. We do what's right. I can't say enough about how inspiring that is. And then we have organizations like Union Rescue Mission and Reverend Bales out there doing the really tough work of the people that are left scattered while the rest of us hunker down. So, Reverend, are you going to start developing relationships with any of these motels or hotels, or is anything like that afoot?
We already did. We realized we were too full of families, and we didn't want families living in our community area, which would be too crowded. So we've had a long relationship with the Stewart Hotel, and we decided last night to begin to send families there. And we've also discovered a partnership with the Inner City Arts, who has a big 6,000 square foot building that we're possibly going to use for families as well, overflow, in order to keep the social distance. Because our 5th floor wing is designated right now as quarantine for future families who come in with symptoms, and we don't want to not have that available. So we're just managing the best we can. And as you said, one of our donors described our staff as truly brave warriors in this deadly battle. And that's what they are. And one of our board members said, the folks that are in the hospitals, serving in the hospitals, like my wife, on the coronavirus they're heroes. But also our teammates who were wearing masks and medical gear for the first time in their, in history, are true warriors, like the heroes that are working in the hospital.
I completely agree with you. I can't. I'm completely with you. Well, Reverend, again, can you explain to people, if they donate, where their money's going?
Yes. If they go to urm.org and make a gift of a donation, it's going to Union Rescue Mission, who never turns away a family or a woman who comes to our door, and really never turns away a man. Even if they have symptoms, we have 1,000 under our roof downtown We have another 225 moms and kids and senior ladies out at Hope Gardens. We have medical care. Normally we have dental care, legal help, and counseling help. All of those are virtual now, except for the medical care is there on site through the LA County Department of Health Services. 3 meals a day, open to the public for lunch, still welcoming everyone, feeding a hot meal. The only mission is still feeding a hot meal. The only mission is still welcoming new guests. That's where it's going, and it's taking care of our most vulnerable folks in our society.
And one last thing, there's a lot of conversation today about the disproportionate representation of Black and brown folk who are getting ill, having complications from COVID. Are you seeing the same thing? And do you have any insights into where that's coming from? I have my own ideas. I'll express them in a minute, but I'm curious about yourself.
So that's the real miracle. We serve primarily people of color, and we serve primarily African American people, and yet we don't have a reported case yet among that population who is desperate and impoverished on Skid Row. And I realized when I heard that news today, we're doing God's work, and He's performing a miracle through us to that very vulnerable population right now.
I'm fearful that one of the issues that's predisposing people is our dietary indiscretions and obesity and hypertension and diabetes and all that has come with that. When you really look at people who get into trouble with this virus, those are the kinds of things that really put people at risk. So I'm fearful that we're going to find that is one of the major issues. And certainly people, let's put it this way, in the economically distressed, non-Black and brown populations, when you look at who gets into complications, it's the same group. It's the same phenomenon: obesity, hypertension, diabetes. And amongst other things, it seems to, the way Dr. Oz described it yesterday, I thought was kind of colorful. He said, the virus is like a lock and a key, and it needs to find that lock to open with its key. And with obesity and hypertension, there's more locks around on the surface of your nose and lungs, so it can more easily target and get in. And then once the lung issues, I mean, there's something going on with the ability to deliver oxygen in the tissues. And if you think about altitude sickness and those sorts of phenomenon, again, people with these disorders don't do well with those. So there's something going on there that we one day will understand more fully. Okay, Reverend, I will let you go back to your work. I know you're very busy, and I love you, and I thank you, and we will try to rustle up some funds for you as best we possibly can, okay?
We love you too, and you're a hero in our eyes. Thank you, Dr. Drew.
All right, Reverend, we'll talk soon. That is Reverend Andy Bales from the Union Rescue Mission. Andy literally lost his leg working downtown in the Skid Row area of Los Angeles. Homelessness throughout the country obviously is a major problem, but the poster area for it is downtown Los Angeles, and Reverend Bales and his father before him have been fighting this fight forever, and they were doing it quite effectively for many years, and then things exploded, and they've been begging for help, and now the government has stepped up quite a bit, and we're asking you also at urm.org. It is money that, again, is efficiently used. It is well-used money. We gave you yesterday the folks at Patina who are feeding people in the front lines and the homeless. I'm going to give you that number again. It's you email patinacares@patinagroup.com, and they will help deliver meals as well. So let's get to some of the data here.
You donated today, as a matter of fact.
Yes, I want to give more to. There's so many good. I'm trying to target where we want to give our money, but URM for sure and Patina for sure. And we're looking at New York and finding areas to offer help as well. So the graphs, they've been adjusted again today. And let me just say, down a little bit, left a little bit, 4 days to the peak in daily deaths in the United States. He is predicting a peak of now, we were up in the 3,000s yesterday, now at 2,100. So the deaths per day are falling. Which is amazing news. He has a graph that predicts the total deaths for the epidemic by, say, July 1. By July 1, he's predicting only 60,000 deaths total, which is now in the flu range. a bad flu, let's be fair. And let's congratulate everyone. It's because of the monumental effort the citizens of the United States made. They got up and did what they needed to do. I saw it happen here in California very intensively. In California, the graphs are way down. Let me see if he has his total deaths in California are predicted to be only 1,600. This is in a state of 30 million. And it looks like the projected deaths are going to be around 60 per day at the most in California. And we again, are going to easily meet our resource needs for hospital beds, ICUs. And we've begun to give away our ventilators to other states. And it looks like this country may be able to give away ventilators to other countries that are in need, which would be great. So this is all really good news today. I will tell you the most recent data is we are at, I know that Hopkins is reporting 4,000. This is the COVID tracking. It says 395,000 with 16,000 deaths total. No fun. There's been a terrible, aggressive illness, but we are doing a remarkable job. And the other thing that's really driving this all down that may yet have even more of an effect in the next 3 days is treatments. So where doctors are learning protocols and ways to approach not just the initial illness, the milder forms of the illness, but also the more severe forms where they can block. I'm going to speak to a guy tonight on Fox 11. I'm also going to talk to Dr. Ben Carson about what the Health and Human Services is doing about this. But the other issue is the ability to block the cytokine cascade, that the inflammatory cascade that causes so much devastation when people get really sick. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about other more powerful antiviral agents and what we think are going to be good and effective ways to turn things around. So if indeed hydroxychloroquine is a prophylactic agent, if indeed hydroxychloroquine affects early in the disease, if indeed we have powerful anti-cytokine and antivirals that are working, you may see the death rate come down even further. And that would be amazing, amazing, amazing. And this is the part I didn't see coming was how amazing the United States would be in sort of rising to an occasion when asked by their leaders. And we should be reminded of how we do that. But number two, I did see, and I did predict that the American healthcare system innovates and responds better than anybody on earth. And that is what we're seeing here and what we're going to continue to see in the next few days. So let me get to some of your specific states. Somebody's asking about Utah. Let me get Utah data here. Utah is slow. They're not going to peak up until about the 23rd. They're about 18 days to their peak death rate, but their peak death rate is going to peak out at 5 per day. So you're doing, although it's slower and broader, you're doing very, very well in Utah. Somebody asked about Ohio. Let me give Ohio here very quickly. Ohio looks similar to California in terms of the sort of dates. You're going to peak around April 9th, 10th, so you're peaking right about now. The deaths are going to peak in about 4 days. Oh my, here we go. And they're going to peak out. Again, you may see a sudden fall off in this, but it's about 25 per day now, which is, again, awful that anyone has to die of this thing, but a lot better. If you remember, we were at the initial predictions of 60 million sick and 2 million dead. With now we're looking at more like 60,000 is our number. In LA County, if any of you are listening around here, we are at 6,900. Again, in a catchment area of 10 million, we are doing very, very well. Continue, and now's not the time to stop. Now is the time to put the pedal to the metal, because once we get all the way down the other side of this thing, then we can really begin to figure out how we get back to work. And I'm fascinated to hear how we're going to do that. Somebody's asking about Kentucky. You're going to meet your resource demands quite easily. Peaking around April 21st. You got about another 10 days of hard work to do. And it looks like your deaths are going to peak around then too, at around 32 per day. I bet you can do better. I bet you can do better. And hopefully the doctors there are learning a lot about this illness and how to decrease the death rate. Florida, boy, you each have your, okay, what I'm relying on here is the covid19.healthdata.org. You can go yourself and take a look at these things. Florida is going to peak around April 20th. Florida, you're going to meet your resource demands, but you're going to skate by, it looks like. Florida's, unless the treatments really start to kick in, Florida's got a harder road ahead over the next 2 weeks. So you really have to keep the hard work going even for the next maybe 3 or 4 weeks. So Florida is the kind of state that unless we see the death rate start to drop dramatically from treatments, and unless we see hydroxychloroquine and zinc being something that's effective for prophylaxis, you've got mitigation, and mitigation is stay home. Because you got more work to do, and this is the result of things closing late. That's what that looks like. So let me go back to, I accidentally hung up on the restream, so let me get it back here. Look what I did. How do I get my bookmarks back?
It's okay. We all make mistakes.
It's weird. Normally I have a...
Just go to restream.io.
Okay, let me do that. There it is. There we go. Perfect. And we're back. Thank you for that.
We've only had a couple of haters so far on Facebook. Maybe one on Periscope. People are being nice again.
Okay.
I can't really block everybody who's being a dick. So if you want to be a dick, just let everybody else take care of it for me.
Is this the most contagious disease ever? No. Again, you got to remember, this is not waterborne. It's not foodborne. It's not vector-borne. So there's a lot. Infectious diseases can get really, really, really challenging. Okay, Connecticut, I know, is in a little bit of trouble. So let's talk about Connecticut. Connecticut is part of the array of New Jersey, Florida, New Jersey, Louisiana, New York, and Connecticut, and maybe a little bit in Massachusetts. Those are states that got work to do. And you were going to peak out with your need in about 13 days. So again, 2 more weeks of hard work in Connecticut, with deaths per day peaking also at about 2 weeks. Again, hopefully to see that drop at about 135 per day. Total deaths in Connecticut around 4,000. So let's see if we can do better. I'm hoping, your proximity to New York and the fine work that people are doing there, and the fact that doctors are getting more and more sophisticated in their approach to this illness. We might see less hospitalizations. We might see Connecticut. Remind me next towards the end of the week to look at Connecticut again, because I feel like Connecticut right now looks like it could be the new canary in the coal mine in the sense of not how the disease is playing out, because it's not that steep what's going on there, but in terms of how we're able to suppress the curve. There's a lot to go in Connecticut. And so if we have a lot of therapeutic intervention, we'll see that thing really, really drop down, which would be nice. Do not know, quinine is not the thing, it's hydroxychloroquine. Our peak a week ago was May 22nd. Adam, for what state are you talking about particularly? I know a lot of it is shifted to the left, right? So it's shifted down, less deaths, less hospitalizations, and left, earlier peak. And I think most of what we're seeing now is the result of all the isolation and all the social distancing. What we'll see next is the result of therapeutics. So rather than shifting left, it should just shift down as the hospitalization and death rate drop, if we are successful with our therapies. And only the virus is going to know that one. Okay, so I want people to remember today as the day that things started to turn. I sort of predicted Thursday, Friday, midweek of this week to be the week that the fog of war lifted, and we start to see the benefits of what we're doing. And I think in the next couple of days you'll start to see the road out. Like, how long is this going to be? Where, what can we really kind of count on? We're not there yet. The next adjustment on the data will be the one that will really be the tell, like about the therapeutics. And then once we have that, then we can talk about testing, how to do the testing, what kind of testing, who gets tested, and then how do we identify and isolate people that are at risk or infected. That will be interesting. Yes, I think everyone can really calm themselves and feel pretty confident and congratulate themselves to the effort they've made.
I actually slept better last night.
Yeah, me too. I got up earlier feeling rested too, which was crazy. Even though I was depressed seeing the last episode of Schitt's Creek.
I'm still going to need a nap later. I'm sorry.
Sweden versus California. All right, let me look at Sweden. I do have that data, so let me look at Sweden. Whoops, WED. There we go. So Sweden, I was looking at the UK yesterday, and the UK did not look good. Sweden, yeah, okay. So you guys, you're going to meet your resource demands. It's very choppy. Sweden actually is you got about 3 more weeks to go before it peaks of anything. So you're still building, but the models look like you're going to meet your resource demands and then fall off rapidly after that. And the deaths, my computer is spinning as computers do. So come on. This was a new computer. Why is it so goofy on me?
Probably have to restart it. One of those things.
I just got the spinning wheel.
Are you on the right Wi-Fi?
No, I can't tell. I got just a wheel going. Well, Susan, seeing any questions in there that you can see?
Oh, no, you can't see the questions.
I can't see the questions. So, here we go. Got it now. So I'm going to go to the total deaths for Sweden, if you don't mind. 4,100. You're going to have 4,100 total. So versus, and you asked versus California. Let's see. I forgot what I said was the total in California. 4,100 Sweden, California.
Yeah, Sweden's not a lockdown.
Is not a lockdown. I know.
No.
It's 1,600 in California. So you're going to have more deaths in California. But I think you're about I don't know, we're at 30 million in California. So we're going to do better having locked down.
So
okay.
it's about the same size as Sweden? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. I'm asking what is the size? Please look up how many in Sweden, just if you could for me. North Carolina. North Carolina's doing great. Total deaths at 500. You're going to peak deaths on the 15th at about 20 per day. And you are going to easily meet your resource demands, peaking about April 15th.
There's 10.23 million.
Okay, so we have 3 times the population in California, and we are going to have 1/3 the deaths. So that's
makes sense.
That's a kind of a tell there, right? That maybe a lockdown for a while is a good idea. And look, what has it been, 3 weeks?
How many people have died in Sweden?
No, I give the total death. The total death was going to be 1,500. Now I got to look it back up again. How many have? I'm saying they can avoid the 4,000 if they lock down. Total is 4,100, peaking on around the 24th at about 130 people a day. Okay, let me go back to your questions. There we go. Is New Jersey peaking? I'll ask in a second. So Sweden, no lockdown at all. I don't know, Holly. I think that's true. Oh, my goodness. You guys are... Again, the website is covid19.healthdata.org. So you want to know about Kansas, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. And my wheel is spinning again.
I'm going to restart it. It's because when you use it the day before and you just let it sit there and you have to reboot your computer. But not right now.
So, Dustin, you're saying since Sweden isn't imposing lockdown, schools are still open, will other countries be pissed that did lock down, freedom's taken away, et cetera? I don't think so, because you could look at those numbers. Just look at California, 1/3 the population, 3 times the population, and 1/3 the deaths. So I think people can look at Sweden exactly the other way. Again, Scott Adams pointed out, we're no matter what, we're all going to see 2 different movies. A group of people are going to say, we kicked its ass, we got it, look at the great job we did. And a group of people are going to go, why did we do that? We locked down unnecessarily. So no matter what, both opinions are coming. Expect it. So again, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, let's get to some of that. New Jersey is going to peak in terms of deaths
website.
Around April 13th.
Okay, what's the website again?
covid19.healthdata.org. Your resorts are going to peak around April 11th, and it's hard to tell from the graph if you're going to meet your ICU resource needs. It looks like, but New Jersey is one of the hardest hit. A lot of focus on New York, but New Jersey really needs our help and support. So if anyone has any, hey, listen, if you know of any charitable organizations that you want us to highlight in New Jersey, please send it to drdrew.com/contact, and we'll be happy to highlight them on this daily stream.
So when everybody gets let out, are we going to have another round of this? I mean, it's not going to go.
Well, that's the question. So you heard Dr. Fauci begin, and you're going to peak your deaths about 5,200. That's a lot. Dr. Fauci began talking about that yesterday. Watch carefully what he says. He chooses his words very carefully. He said we're going to go from mitigation to isolation. We're going to, in other words, identification, and he didn't use the word isolation. I forget the word he used. But the old-fashioned thing we used to do with infectious diseases is you find somebody with tuberculosis, say, and you pull them out, and you isolate them from the rest, and then you find out who they've contacted. You test all them, And that's the kind of effort that's going to be needed next. He's clearly already formulating a plan. Dr. Birx has mentioned it a couple of times as well. Pennsylvania looks a lot like California. It's going to peak on April 13th. Your death rate spiked yesterday for some reason at 68, but it's expected to really percolate around in the 30s. I don't know what happened yesterday there, and have 969 deaths total. So Pennsylvania should do okay. The confidence interval is pretty wide on the deaths per day, so there could be room for improvement, let's say. So we'll see what the therapeutics bear out. Containment, is that the word he used, Pat? It might have been containment, yes, rather than isolation. Yes, containment as opposed to mitigation. Thank you very, very much. We did North Carolina, sorry, Missouri, oh my goodness. Yes, I agree, Paulo. Serological testing of the antibodies is a must, but thus far we don't have an accurate test, nothing that the FDA has actually approved yet. So I'm sorry, you got Tennessee, I know is doing very well. I looked at it the other day.
Oh, good.
The Tennessee's doing well?
Yeah, they had a rough month.
That's where, did they?
Isn't Tennessee Nashville?
Yeah.
Got hit by a
the tornado, yeah.
And then this.
They are, though, peaking at around the 17th. They will meet their demands, no problem. Death rates is going to peak in about 10 days. Oh, my computer. I'm trying to move it around.
All right, answer questions.
Okay, hold on. It's going to peak. They've got a ways. Okay, Tennessee's another one to look at in addition to Connecticut in the next 10 days and see if they flatten that death rate. That will be a considerable tell. And again, the deaths will peak at about 600.
Did the main Nashville airport BNA get hit, or was it a smaller airport?
By the tornado?
Yeah.
I don't know. I imagine it was the main one. Somebody's asking about Massachusetts. Massachusetts is one of the ones like Connecticut that's... again, we'll see if that death rate, which is due to peak in about 10 days, bears out. No problem meeting resource demands. But your total deaths, and for a state size of Massachusetts, is high at 5,600. So let's see, it's another Connecticut. So New England is getting hit hard.
New York's getting hit hard still, too.
Yeah, of course. Let's look at New York.
Almost 800 deaths last night. As usual, as we predicted.
Yeah, that was well predicted, and so the peak is right now.
Not big on predictions, but you're actually right.
No. But the COVID-19 health data was right. It's peaking around 800, and then there should be a rapid fall off with a total of around 13,000.
That includes like Brooklyn and everything, right?
Yes, it does, all the boroughs. But this is New York State. This is New York State.
Yeah.
And again, they are meeting their resource demands, but it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And they're again, it's another good state to look at in the next couple of days to see if the therapeutics cause a fall off in hospitalizations and deaths and that sort of thing. But they are 1 day to their peak, according to this graph. 1 day to the peak. So there's something called Farr's law, which is as fast as an epidemic comes up, it goes down as a mirror image. And per Farr's law, there should be a rapid fall off very, very soon. Michigan, you guys should go to this on your own. You should go.
Guys, why don't you tell us? You go to the website and then tell us.
Some people have been doing that, actually.
Just read that.
Meeting resource demands peak around April 8th, right about now. 0 days and 1 day to the death peak. So Michigan is in it. Your deaths per day have been a little choppy, and total deaths should peak out about 2,000, which is a lot. It's a lot for a state that size. Okay. Should people in New York be required to wear masks? You should wear masks. I think the masks and the scarves are a new normal. I think they're a good idea. If you look at I'm starting to see pictures from the old Spanish flu epidemic of 19, and you'll see pictures of people wearing scarves. So back then they got to it as well.
Boy, they're coming in fast.
Yeah, I know. Kansas, that was the other state you guys asked for, so let me look at that. Kansas is peaking in 2 weeks. You got some work to do, peaking around only 10 deaths per day with only about 300 total. So it's going to percolate along and be slow. You're going to easily meet your resource demands. Again, peaking around April 21st. You got a couple more weeks to go to get all the way out. But it looks like it's going to be you're going to be nominally hit in terms of, say, comparing to something like New England or New York or New Jersey. When will you feel safe in New York, Matt? That's a great question. I don't think I'm going to feel safe in New York until there's a vaccine. I'm hoping it becomes normative to wash our hands and wear masks and things. It will help the flu season next year as well. And we'll have to see if hydroxychloroquine becomes an effective prophylactic, something you can take on a daily basis that prevents the infection. That could change everything.
Good.
Okay, so I think we're about good here. Susan, any other questions from your standpoint?
From mine?
Yeah, from yours. Any other thing we didn't address, should address? Somebody asked about Rhode Island. We'll take a look since it's part of the New England. Yeah, New England, again, you're not going to have that many, but you're going to peak around at the same time, about 2 weeks, 21 days to the death peak. It's low. It's around 30, but let's see if we can get that better. Total of over 800. So that's doing pretty good. Some people are saying I should talk to Dr. Oz. I talked to him on a regular basis.
He was on your show last night.
I had him on Fox 11 last night.
Oh, you'll be back there tonight.
Yes. So this is, let me put out a plea for Dr. Oz on his website. If you go to droz.com, he is asking for anybody with lupus that has been on hydroxychloroquine, have you developed the virus? He's looking for anyone. And by the way, go ahead, if you're on it and have not gotten it, you should register as well. But he's looking for anyone that has developed the coronavirus on hydroxychloroquine. Is there one person out there who has gotten it? That's the question. Well, the actions we're taking.
What does he want? He wants people to call in, or
no? Apparently, on his homepage at Dr. Oz,
he has some kind of a foundation that's doing research.
No, on the homepage of Dr. Oz, there's a registration there for you if you have lupus and on hydroxychloroquine. Somebody's asking about the flu season next year. Yeah, I think the flu season next year will be better. I think people will be more likely to take the flu vaccine, and I think there will be more precautions. So yes. Zinc and quinine, not quinine, zinc and hydroxychloroquine. That's what works. Okay, I'm getting ready to wrap up. If you have any last minute questions, now is the time to let them go. I'm anxious. The data was adjusted in a very positive direction today, but let's see if it keeps going in that direction. Usually as things go in a direction, they kind of continue in that direction for a little while. So we'll see. And we'll see if his predictions have been accurate, or maybe we've done better than what he's predicted. So that would be really interesting.
Thank you for all the nice questions.
Yeah, great questions.
And chatting among yourselves. It's nice. It's nice to see that everybody's communicating.
And Kelly, I know your daughter's pregnant, but there's a lot of data on pregnant women, and they do very well through this, so you can relax. Does tapering Suboxone affect respiratory immune systems? It can if you're on a rapid taper, but I don't think it particularly puts you in a risk category. I've had some people get difficulty on coming off on a rapid taper of Suboxone, even on induction of Suboxone. So it's all, I think now is the time to get on medication-assisted treatment. If you've been thinking about it, let's do it now. Let's do it. It's out there, and people can do it by telemedicine. So we're being encouraged to do it by telemedicine. When will Georgia be back to normal? No one's going to be back to normal in the month of April. So I think that you can pretty much look forward to. That this is the month that we figure out where we are and then figure out what to do and then do it. But I think May, remember, people were predicting August, but I think May might be the month that we optimistically might start to, for some people at least, look like they can return to work. Some people in certain areas. Okay. Give me a second. I'm giving you a chance to ask more questions if you wish. How come some countries mandated the mask and others in California, counties? Because every county is an autonomous operation and have different challenges. What about benzodiazepines for the same reason as the buprenorphine? Both of them together. Benzodiazepine with any opiate is a very dangerous combination, so I would strongly urge you to get off that if you possibly can, and it would not put you at risk for this virus, no. Maybe schools return in May. I doubt that. I think school years are probably done, and I think teachers in states that have closed down the schools are generally adapting to online teaching and sort of planning out their curriculum for the rest of the year, and I think that's smart. Okay. Well, let's call it quits, Susan. Anything from your standpoint? But again, go to urm.org, the Union Rescue Mission. Help those guys. Don't forget our friends at Patina. And if you know anybody, any good charitable works in New Jersey and New York, we are looking for people to highlight here. So please send us an email, drdrew.com/contact. Anywhere else you want them to send those, Susan?
Oh, I just put up the link to the Oz page that somebody posted.
Okay.
It was, who was this? Some guy on Facebook. Anthony. Thank you, Anthony. Gave us the link. That's an interesting project.
Somebody, Tony, you're asking a question about what Dr. Burke said yesterday about qualifying somebody who dies as a heart attack as a COVID death. I think humbly both Dr. Fauci and Dr. Burke didn't get what the questioner was asking. What she was asking was, let's say somebody had COVID and then dies of a heart attack. Why are we necessarily saying that COVID was the causation? Are there circumstances in which there might have been other causes of death? Somebody would not have died with the COVID had they not had a serious underlying illness that got decompensated. Why do we mark those as COVID deaths? And that's I'm sure they have an answer to that. I haven't heard it yet, but I think it's a way of tracking this that's reasonable. I think a more sophisticated way would be to have two causes of death, right? So COVID is the contributing cause, heart attack is the proximate cause, say. And the way we document deaths in this country is bizarre. It's a very legalistic kind of structured thing that really is, it could be improved upon generally. So I'm not surprised we're getting into trouble with that. All right.
So if you want some uplifting reports with Dr. Drew, go to Dr. Drew After Dark or about the other podcasts he does.
Yes, those are a little lighter fare.
I know, this is such good information, but you guys need to cheer up and do something fun and stay happy.
Watch all the seasons of Schitt's Creek if you're not a fan yet, and not. So
I have this cool old Union Russian rescue mission.
Russian mission?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with my tongue today. I'm sorry. It's a picture of the Union rescue mission after the Depression.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's like everybody's in hats and suits, and it's just such a different time, but I just found this to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, Union Rescue Mission is around a long time. They've been doing the work effectively, and the fact that they were closed out of any of the solutions to homelessness, I always thought was bizarre, and it was because of the faith-based orientation, and you can't have a church-state combination, which is insane. So let's let the faith-based things do their thing and figure out how to incorporate them into the solution. Okay, well, thank you guys for being here today. Will we be able to make it in tomorrow? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to play the Hydrolite ad because we want to give a shout-out to them.
Okay.
And we appreciate them,
Oh, and the needle destruction guys have a thermal temperature thermometer that you can scan people's temperature at a distance. And I told them, I said, please let me talk about that because that's going to be another part of the solution as we get out of this thing, is taking everybody's temperature.
I actually played that at the very beginning.
Okay. But those guys now have this thermometer, and every time you walk into a restaurant, your temperature should be taken. Every time you walk into a grocery store, somebody should scan your temperature. I mean, it should become a new normal until we get a vaccine for this thing. Okay, and then Hydrolite, obviously I've been touting that for years. It's a great hydration product.
We should send some to the homeless.
The Hydrolite?
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Ask Reverend Bales how I don't know if they have access to bottled water. You know what I mean? You have to have both to mix it up. But if they have that kind of thing available, I bet you the rescue mission needs it, right? Why don't you give it to them?
I think so.
I was down there in the summer. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, thank you guys for being here, and we'll come on by tomorrow. And stay well, everybody. This is a reason to celebrate your hard work today. We've all been very focused on how to stay healthy these days, but we've not been talking about hydration. If you get coronavirus, flu, or even experience allergies, cold, a variety of everyday ailments, they all need hydration. And that's why it's a perfect time to welcome our friends at Hydrolite back. This is a great product. You all know I've talked about it for a long time. This was the hydration product I wanted to invent, and they got it there before me. Now remember, dehydration can make you feel sick, even a slight amount, and none of us need that anxiety right now. So stay well hydrated. I am thrilled to welcome our good friends at Hydrolite back to the show. Longtime fans remember my obsession with Hydrolite. which is literally the best hydration product I have found. I'm even more excited to introduce their brand new single-serve powder sticks. Simply pour 1 powder stick into a glass of water. They recommend 7 ounces. The powder dissolves instantly and creates the perfect balance of sodium, glucose, and water to deliver up to 4 times the electrolytes of your typical sports drink. And think about it. You can take this anywhere. You should have it on hand to just pour it into water, and you have a real significant hydration product. The other great news about Hydrolyte, the powder sticks, they are 100% natural, no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, and they are available in flavors like orange and lemonade, and they taste great. Hydration is crucial. Hydrolyte is the fastest and easiest way to stay ahead of it. And you can find Hydrolyte powder sticks in the digestive aisle at Walgreens or Amazon, or simply just go to my website, drdrew.com/Hydrolyte. Again, that is drdrew.com/HYDRALYTE. You see it spelled here. There it is. And you enter the code DrDrew18 to save 30% off your order. Forget the runs on toilet paper. There should be runs on this. This is doing much more for your health than toilet paper. So go get some. Have it on hand. If anybody in your family gets sick, you need to keep them hydrated, and that's how you do it.